Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the most watched zodiac sign. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up, as far as Aries goes, Aries, really, they are they are very impatient. They don't really stay on one project for too long a period of time to really put themselves in a position to be watched for a prolonged period of time. However, no one cannot admire really Aries' ability to lead and to fight and to even stand up those that might be weaker, more passive, the ones that really don't always have it in them to stand up for themselves. Their courage may very well be unprecedented in as far as the zodiac signs may go, but I don't really see them as being the most watched of the zodiac, since hey, Aries is about easy provocation. They could be provoked very easily. Sometimes I think Aries, sadly, unwittingly, might actually push people away from them, which prevents them from being watched too much. So I would say no to Aries. Now, going to the zodiac sign Taurus, well, Taurus is just, as many of you may know, I have Taurus rising. I'm very much a homebody. Taurus energy could be very similar to Cancer. It's more with Taurus is just simply more enamored with domestic activities. Well, Cancer is just simply very much a homebody because they could be dominated by their family life, and that those activities often take place. Now, Cancer is just very introverted. But with Taurus, Taurus is not a sign really you think that's going to put themselves out there and be watched for any protracted period. Even though Taurus is a fixed sign, it's a very strong sign. They can be somewhat timid and a little bit apprehensive at times, I think, and they're not really ones that are going to put themselves out there to really be in a position to be watched. So it's really I would say no to Taurus. Now, going to Gemini. Well, Gemini is known, of course, to be very diversified, very versatile. One can't help but admire Gemini for these great abilities. Gemini also, of course, like all the zodiac signs, of course, can have certain negative attributes, such as being very mercurial and fickle and changeable, but they are. But Gemini is so restless and so mobile. They're not really in much position to really be in one place for a very, very prolonged period of time. Stagnation can certainly be an anathema to Gemini. So it'd be hard for me to say that they would be the most watched of the zodiac signs. So I would say that Gemini is not. Now, going to the zodiac sign Cancer, Cancer is very interesting because Cancer, of course, is very introverted, introspective. They're very insular, much to themselves. But the thing about Cancer, at times they can draw certain attention to themselves, I think, because something about the zodiac sign Cancer can be a little bit self-conscious. Their apprehension when a native Cancer, I have a Cancer sun, I would know something about this. Sometimes what happens is Cancer can get a little bit defensive, and somebody might be making either an unintentional slight, or they might be taking some reference, a general, something that's a general statement of some kind of subtle reference. Remember that the zodiac sign Cancer is often very adept at understanding the subtle ways people communicate, but sometimes there could be some overthinking with this. And sometimes Cancer will draw attention to themselves when they're in public because of their self-conscious, sometimes manner and somewhat suspicious nature. But because they're at home a good part of the time, it's really hard for me to say they would be the most watched of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Leo. Well, Leo certainly can be a viable candidate to be the most watched of the zodiac signs. Leo, can't help but command attention. They don't even really have to try very hard to get it. Aries has to try a little bit more, but Leo just kind of almost like automatically commands it. And they are very, again, very flamboyant. That some could actually be very ostentatious. You look at Remember the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali had a Leo Ascendant, and he was like the prototype of a Leo Ascendant, very charismatic, flamboyant. Some might say somewhat pretentious, but or even arrogant, but he did back up his talk in the ring. And the Leo is something about Leo just has this dynamic presence about them and can be very charismatic. They often can't help but command attention. And I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it is Leo or not. Now, going to the zodiac sign Virgo. Well, Virgo would be hard pressed to say they would be the most watched zodiac sign, because Virgo, unlike Leo, is not very much against being ostentatious. They're very reticent, very humble. They are ones that will often be the ones that can bask in Leo's spotlight. They are just not ones that really are about any attention. Or, I mean, the thing about Virgo that might get attention, sometimes it's their great analytical ability and being very punctilious with details, of course. And sometimes even their nervousness and their apprehension might draw others to them. They might have some fidgety mannerisms. I mean, there's Virgo, Conan O'Brien, I believe, has a Virgo Ascendant. I mean, he can't help but show, certain fidgety, nervous tendencies. But I say, like with Virgo, it would be hard for me to say that they would be the most watched zodiac sign. Now, going to the zodiac sign Libra. Well, Libra, I mean, is similar to Virgo, because Libra is like Virgo as far as being very reticent, very humble, self-effacing. They're not a sign that you would think would be commanding an inordinate amount of attention. They often are involved in their relationships and collaborating with others on projects, and they're not ones that are trying to stand out and really make any, as far as their attention is. What attention can gravitate to Libra, though, because Libra often is very attractive. They may very well be the quintessence of beauty as far as the zodiac signs go on average, and that is often what will bring the attention to Libra. Often the very charming and elegant, graceful, their mannerisms may do this, but it's really hard. I don't see Libra as being the most watched of the zodiac signs. Now, here's another interesting sign, going to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, the thing about them is they can sometimes be charismatic to some degree. May not be as much as Leo, but I mean, Scorpio, it's just something that's alluring about them because of their mysterious aura that they often will project. And many Scorpio people, I don't even think they're cognizant or aware of it, but they just somehow do this. Sometimes it's their sexuality. It can be an imposing presence. Sometimes the penetrating gaze that Scorpio has may do this, but it's just something with them that will command attention. But because they're a little bit more, I mean, they're a little more, of course, more introverted than Leo on average, but they're ones, though, that can sometimes get this attention. And Scorpio is kind of similar to Cancer as far as that suspicious kind of look, and sometimes they will get that attention even for that, just for simply seeming guarded. And but I'll let you know at the end of the video whether I think it's Scorpio or not. Going to the zodiac sign Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, as many of you may know, is very effervescent, jocular, and jovial. There's certainly a sign that they can get their attention through practical jokes, or just joking. Just their jovial nature and their upbeat nature can get certain attention, and they often have a laugh that can grab people's attention as well. But Sagittarius is not one that's really going out of their way to command attention. They're not one that's clamoring for it. It's a sign, I mean, to me, they are so much about, often long distance traveling, exploration. They can be the meander, that traveler of the zodiac. They may not be in a place for that long to command. I mean, Gemini, it's because a lot of it has to do with their mental restlessness, but Sagittarius, it's more in their body that they need to be moving around and going to different locations. So I think for Sagittarius, I would say no as being the most watched zodiac sign. Now, going to the zodiac sign Capricorn. Well, Capricorn, given they are a feminine sign, they could be very introverted and introspective. They're often dominated by their career activities. It's not a sign that you would think, to me, they are ones that are very business oriented, very career oriented. They're not really ones that are even about expanding their horizons that much. And when you expand your horizons, you get out more with people, and you're in situations where you get certain attention. They could get, remember that, understand that in a solar or natal chart, the zodiac sign Sagittarius often falls on the 12th house cusp of restrictions for Capricorn. So they are not ones that are going to be overly jocular, or they're doing things where they're actually expanding their horizons, exploring, and being, and really it's a sign that's very, they're about the one-track mind, doing, and again, very business oriented, very serious. They're often very quiet, and might be the most quiet of the zodiac signs in terms of the communication. They're not known to be overly loquacious, so it's not a sign, and they're very conservative and orthodox too, so it's not a sign to me that I would think could be the most watched of the zodiac signs. Now, going to the zodiac sign Aquarius. Well, Aquarius, of course, is a masculine sign. They are, as I've stated in previous videos, I see them as the universal friend. Aquarius can get certain attention because of their idiosyncratic behavior, because they are very often very unique, very unorthodox, and non-conforming. It's a sign that often goes against the grain, so to speak, and wants to do what they want to do, and they often can attract attention to it. It's not like as far as Leo goes. Leo attracts attention because they often, they're just very flamboyant and they have very strong presence. Aquarius, their uniqueness may often draw it, but the thing about it is Aquarius is often about group-related activities as well. It's interesting. There was a guy, I think his name is Nick Wallenda or something similar, and he's an Aquarius sun. Many of you may know he did that tightrope over the Grand Canyon with no netting, and those are some. And Evel Knievel has an Aquarius ascendant as Aquarius ascendant, had an Aquarius ascendant, and he was doing all kinds of these audacious stunts that you didn't, a lot of people would not even dare to do, and that would command certain attention. But I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it is Aquarius or not. Now, going to the zodiac sign Pisces. Well, Pisces, the thing about them that could command certain attention is the fact that, at least I believe this, and some people may subscribe to this theory and concur with it, some may not, that I see Pisces as the amalgamation of the previous 11 zodiac signs. And they are just very nondescript. They can take on different characters at different times. They can be very impressionable too. Pisces, that they can often mimic I believe they can mimic the behavior of others around them more so than others. They're very interesting zodiac sign. But Pisces is really about their isolation, and they like often to be alone. They often are enamored with their solitude and seclusion, so they don't really, they often get into their own fantasy world in order, in many instances, to retreat from the harsh realities of the outer world. So for me, it's hard to say that Pisces would be the most watched of the zodiac signs. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now going to going to the sign that I think is the most watched of the zodiac signs, I will go with Leo. I think it takes a nod over, say, Aquarius or Scorpio, because Leo's very, they're more gregarious, I see, and more extroverted than either of those other two signs, especially over Scorpio. See, Scorpio is very mysterious, and as I stated before, their secrecy, their mysterious aura they have often will bring certain attention to them. But Scorpio is more introverted than Leo is. Leo is very flamboyant, and they may make certain effort to command the attention. They could get it quicker than, say, they could get it more naturally as opposed to Aries. Aries may try to a little bit to some degree to get it, but more Leo really don't have to really try that much, I don't think, to get it, because they often have a very strong presence about them. And I would take Leo over Aquarius, because even though Aquarius can be extroverted as well, because they are a masculine sign, they're often more about their group related efforts, and they're more about doing things for the collective good of others. They have a lot of selfless energy. They are ones that will do things more like with their friends, and again in groups and organizations and clubs, where they're not really standing out as much, and they're not going to be watched as much because they're in a group related situation, where Leo will often do things where they're going to shine and be dominant in whatever field it is they are going to be in. And they are ones, I mean, you look at Donald Trump, for example, classic. I mean, he epitomizes Leo energy, Leo rising at 29 degrees, which I do see as the full culmination and expression of the sign. Of course, when you have the Ascendant as our projection of self, it's those qualities we're projecting very strongly outwardly. And we see a lot with the Donald Trump, a lot of that strong presence, that command, and the thing about is, and that really powerful attention-seeking energy, I believe as well, that is coming from Donald Trump. So those are some things to look at. Is, I mean, that's basically what I wanted to get at, and I do believe it's unequivocally Leo as the most watched zodiac sign. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.